Welcome to Broad Street Phanatics, episode number 17. And we have a very special guest from Flyers Knitty, Jamey Baskow. And he is here to talk about the Flyers draft and everything else about their upcoming season. And welcome, Jamey. We are happy to have you.
Hey, thanks a lot, Alex, Cam. I appreciate you guys for having me on, for your dedicated viewership. You guys are legends. So you teach me, you show me the way. But, it's been quite it's been quite the off season, right? I mean, We're all checking our phones right now to see if something's going, Chuck Fletcher. But, it's been one of those off seasons. It's been phenomenal. This was a change that was necessary. They added more leadership in the locker room. The Flyers are fresh and vibrant, and they're the talk of the town over the Philadelphia Phillies, who are currently playing right now, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So Cameron and I have some questions for you. So my first question is, what were your thoughts on Shane Gostisbehere and Voracek leaving the Flyers?
Both I thought were good players. Jake, you can't finish fifth in assists, all time in Flyers history with 427, 10th all time in points. You don't do that if you're not a good player. Jake Voracek is a good player. He's a good interview. I loved his interviews. I loved how honest he was. If they played bad, he would tell you they sucked. It's just how he was. He was always very honest. He was funny. He was funny to the media. He was funny to his teammates. His teammates did look up to him. He was one of those jokers inside the locker room, but knew when to take the game serious. And that's what sets him apart from other players. Now, it was time to make a change in such a way. One, his cap hit was $8.25 million. They could not operate this offseason with having one of JVR or Jake Voracek. In this case, they thought it was much easier to move Voracek. In a sense, it was. He goes back to Columbus for Cam Atkinson. Atkinson is an energy player. He's a leader. He's a former assistant captain now. He's going to wear number 81. He never takes a shift off. They needed help penalty killing wise, and that was something that Jake Voracek couldn't do. He's the top forward who couldn't play the penalty kill. Although he did get better defensively the past few seasons, it was just one of those things. He just couldn't play the penalty kill, whereas Cam Atkinson is very versatile. He could play the power play. He could play the penalty kill. And what were some things that Chuck Fletcher – we have to go all the way back, right, to the exit interviews. And each year – Chuck Fletcher gives a blueprint of his offseason, and he nails it every single time. Like last year, he said, I want to re-sign Brian Elliott. I want to find some, defense. I need some defense help. And he's like, if I can, I'd like to add, possibly, a goal scorer, but it depends on how much money. They didn't have very much leg room. It's a flat cap world. And this year, he said he needed help on the power play and penalty kill. He missed Tyler Pitlick. Those vets like Nate Thompson, and Derek Grant to assist on the penalty kill, but to also assist, on the power play as well, if they need help. And those are some areas that they had to focus on. So I think it was a great trade to get rid of Voracek. And ultimately, they saved $2.4 million off the deal. So he goes back. He's going to Columbus, and he will excel there. He is. The Columbus Blue Jackets needed a player to help assist Patrick Lyon. And I think that him and Lyon together, you have a playmaker in Jake, that tandem's going to do well this season. Now, when you look at Shane Gostisbehere, he had a resurgence this season. It was I would say a revenge, season in such a way. I did not want to get rid of Ghost, but at the end of the day, it saves $4.5 million, right? And the name of the game now. The Flyers needed cap room to shore up the defensive end, to just bring in some new leadership, bring them in a fresh face. How many times we're talking about the Phillies, right? A minute ago, a few minutes. They're down 6-1. it seems like every game the Phillies are getting behind, right? It becomes
Yeah.
annoying. You can't continue to get behind, and that's the Flyers. The past 7 or 8 seasons, for whatever reason, they have to claw their way back in the games. They're down 2-0, 3-0. They come back and they win 4-3. Great, but they do it throughout the whole season. They're a very inconsistent hockey team. You cannot do that. And why I say you cannot, because when you get to the playoffs and it gets down to nitty gritty, you're exhausted because you had to come back, game after game after game in the regular season. And yes, it's only the regular season. I get it. But you get tired that way. You get worn out. Chuck Fletcher sees this, and he mentioned that on Saturday. He was like, how many times before me as the GM he was like, I kept hearing how the Flyers, kept going, getting down early in games. They have to come back. They have to do this, And so he needed a change. And Ghost and Voracek were the two that he needed a change. He needed a fresh room. Last season was unacceptable. Okay, COVID, I understand it. Every team dealt with COVID. It was a weird season. I get it. But there are no excuses. This team on paper was too far talented not to at least make the playoffs. I'm not saying go on an extended playoff run, but to miss the playoffs entirely, something had to happen. It was unacceptable in my opinion, and it was unacceptable in Chuck Fletcher's opinion, and the Flyers top brass. Even though they played it off saying, "Oh, COVID, this. I want to see how this." Well, you know what? Evidently, they believed that there was a little more going on than just COVID. So I think these moves are necessary. At the end of the day, I know they're fan favorites, and I know that. Listen, I love both players. They treated me well. I wouldn't be here today, and as far as in this business as I am, without these two players. Every time I needed an interview, go right to one of them, and they gave it to me. They were very nice. Ghost Kelly Hartchetz, one of my wife's Kelly's good friends, actually was an old assistant trainer, athletic trainer for Ghost at Union College, and now she's the head coach at of Union field hockey. So we always had a connection that way. So he's going to be missed in my opinion, but it was time.
My next question is, what prospect that the Flyers drafted are you most excited to see?
I'm most excited to see Samu Tuamala. I'm sorry if I didn't do his name justice. I'm very bad with names, but I am very excited to see him. The Flyers have lacked a sniper, since I've been since I've been following for the past at least 10 to 12 seasons, and they needed that guy, and Samu is that guy. He is a shoot first type player. He is a good skater. He's a solid skater. But the good thing about him is that he'll battle for pucks in the corners. And I think that is something that the Flyers again lacked this past season. And a lot of that, Oscar Lindblom looked very good down the stretch in that area. That was his expertise, was puck battling and stuff. And that's what Samu provides. He'll go to the net and take a beating to the net too, and go top shelf for Mom hides the cookies. I mean that's just who this player is. He has a lethal wrist shot. I'm most excited for him. I think that it is possible that we could see him in the next year or two, and I say that because I really like Tyson Forrester. So if Tyson has another good season, I can see him making a legit push for the team in 2022-23. And then I could see Tuamola possibly in 23-24 make a push for the team legit. I just think this kid is too talented, and he shouldn't have fell to the second round. He was a first round talent. There was no way. But I think that the majority of scouts and everyone knew, and beat writers knew, that some people would fall to the second round. So this was a great selection for the Philadelphia Flyers, and the Flyers fan base is going to be very happy with this player. The one thing that sets players apart and prospects apart right now and how young they are is skating, and that's something that he provides. Does he have work in other areas? Absolutely. He could become a better skater. His skating isn't the greatest. You know what I mean? He's not like a Wayne Gretzky by any means, but the Flyers got a steal here.
Yeah, I'm most I'm interested to see how he does with this organization. And what year do you think he could be called up and have the chance to play?
I think he can make the push for the Flyers probably in 23-24. Usually, like, he's playing in the league for Carpot. The Liga is arguably could be tied into the third toughest league in the world with the SHL. Mm-hmm. So that's how good Liga is. So I think realistically, if not 23-24, definitely 24-25. He's not too far. He's not too far off. That's for sure. This kid, again, his skating just sets him apart from other prospects, in my opinion. And you combine that with his lethal, wrist shot. I mean, does he have to become a better defensive player? Absolutely. He is a solid two-way player, but every player could become better defensively as well, right? I mean, he's just a natural at finding the net. He is a natural at pushing the puck up the ice. His first step is very good, so that's good. But another player that I'm interested in is a local guy, Owen McLaughlin. And he's from Phoenixville, PA. He was born in Phoenixville, so I think that's kind of neat. He was drafted in the 7th round by the Flyers, so I'm interested in him. The scouts are very high on him. He seems to be like he has a lot of rawness to him. He is looking. He's probably about 4 to 5 years away, but it'd be interesting to see how he plays too.
What college did he go to?
Pardon?
What college did he go to?
I think he. I'll check, but I think he's committed to Arizona State University. I'm almost 100% certain that he has committed to Arizona State University, and that it's great you mentioned that because the Flyers are going to have a rookie camp, and I don't know if NCAA players are going to be used. Actually, I'm wrong. It's Penn State, so he's staying local. I thought it was Arizona State. That I forgot. That's Brian Zanetti, I think. But yeah. So there you go. I mean, he's a local and he's staying local. That's kind of neat. And Penn State hockey is a good hockey program. They have a solid hockey program over there. So he's going to, they've come up and gotten better over the years. So they're a very solid program right now. So that's good for the Flyers. Plus, he's local, which is great because I'll tell you this: Chuck Fletcher is very active as opposed to other general managers. Ron Hextall was very good at this too. Chuck Fletcher will leave Flyers games. Like if there's a game at 1 p.m., and they're done, by like 3:30, 4 o'clock or whatever, and the Phantoms are playing at 7, Chuck Fletcher will drive up the highway and just go to the Phantoms games. Chuck Fletcher is very good at making, at least he's at the Phantoms games at least once a week on a Friday or Saturday night, typically. There are some weeks he misses, but it's very rare. But he is very good at scouting that system. So I wouldn't doubt that he'll go up the turnpike, and go to Happy Valley, for a game or two this season. I guarantee it, actually.
So my next question is, what are your thoughts on the schedule for the Flyers, and what is your prediction for the record?
Honestly, I'm gonna hold off on the prediction. I do believe they'll make the playoffs. That much for certain. I think that this schedule was to be expected. I like how the Flyers get to rock it with their home fans for the first. They had to open the season. They have a 4-game homestand. I think that's kind of unique. I think it's kind of neat. It hasn't. I mean, it's been a while since that happened. So I think that's kind of unique. I like that. And then the second game of the season's against the Kraken. I think that's kind of neat. Or is that the third game? Second or third games against Seattle Kraken at home. And I think that's kind of neat too. So
I think it's the second game.
Second game. And I think that's kind of neat. I like it. But I do believe that the Flyers will make the playoffs. The only reason I say I want to hold off is because there's still some unknowns. We don't know who the backup goaltender is at this point. Although you might get into that later. I'm not sure. But we don't know who the backup goaltender is, and I want to see if they add a depth forward like Mikael Granlund or Tyler Bozak. I would love Mikael Granlund, and it's kind of neat because he has a good history with Chuck Fletcher. Chuck Fletcher, and him have a pretty good history together. So maybe he'll take a hometown discount and come to the Flyers. But that's why I want to hold off, is because the roster still has some holes to fill.
Is Alex Lyon going to stick around?
That's an interesting topic. No, I don't believe so. I think Alex moves on. I personally believe Alex wants to start, and I can't blame him. He has – listen, Alex and I are solid. We have a very good rapport with one another. When I see him in the locker room, we talk for 20 to 25 minutes. He's a very good guy. And he's done a lot for my career, as a matter of fact. But it's sad to see him leave, but I firmly believe he will. I think he's going to be scooped up tomorrow with no problem. I think there's going to be, teams looking for AHL goaltenders like Zane McIntyre. I don't foresee him sticking around with the Phantoms as well. I think that he'll move on because he had a great season this past year as well. And I think both players will move on because they have a future in this business. Like Alex Lyon's only 27 years old. So he still has life. He still has miles on his tires. He's never gotten that shot to prove himself. He might want to at least be a backup, for an NHL team. But, to get there, you have to, play in the AHL, which he does. And he plays well. So I just don't – with the Flyers signing Samuel Ersson and Kirill Ustimenko coming back from injury this past year, and then having Felix Sandstrom, who played well down the stretch for the Phantoms, I think there's a logjam at that position that I don't see a need for Alex Lyon, to be honest.
Yeah. My next question is, what are your thoughts on Chuck Fletcher's press conference and what he had to say?
I think that Chuck Fletcher is hitting the ball out of the park right now. I think he's hitting a grand slam. And that's how good I think this offseason couldn't have been better. I like his press conferences. I like how open he is. I like how honest he is. Like, for instance, giving us insight this past Saturday and saying, for years they've had bad starts. That's what he heard, for years. So he was like, I had to make a change. I had to do this. I had to do this. He was like, last year was unacceptable. How honest he is in that retrospect. Now, was he honest during the season? Maybe not so much because, he has players to command. He doesn't want to lose the room per se. But this is a breath of fresh air for the whole organization. And I like how he could be funny. Like somebody asked him a question on Saturday if Claude Giroux would be the captain of the Flyers, next season. And he shrugged it off. He laughed and said, no, we'll be the captain. Whether it was a dumb question or not, he was very honest that way, and he laughed. So he knows how to laugh, and he has a sense of humor nowadays. It's just like I think he's very happy with what he was able to accomplish. I think he's shocked what he was able to accomplish, and I say shocked in the sense that if you asked him before this offseason began, if he could have done absolutely everything to a T, he probably would have said, I'm going to be honest, he probably would have said most, but not all. And that's just the type of person he is. So I like how honest he is at his press conferences. I like that he said that Jake was a good player, for the organization, but it was time to move on because it just got to that point where changes were, being made, whether his voice got soft in the locker room or what. It's time to move on. I like it. I like how honest he is.
So we have two more questions.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on Seattle's expansion draft?
I think it was underwhelming. I think they could have done a better job. I was waiting for those, draft picks, to, those trades or sweeteners, some would say, the next day. And I kept looking and nothing. I'm not saying they didn't do a decent job. I mean, the team as constructed is decent. It's a decent team. And let's see what they do in free agency here. Right away after, it was kind of weird because after Vegas drafted, had their, expansion draft, before they even went into free agency, I put a tweet out and I said Vegas would make the playoffs. I can't say that right now with the Kraken. I think there's still some holes. Now, the one thing I do like about the Kraken and what they did, they built from the net out. So that's a plus. They got some goaltenders in there. They have a solid foundation of goaltending. They have a good, solid defense. I wouldn't say the best defense, but it's solid enough that they could win some hockey games. That's for sure. They have at least 5 solid defensemen over there. So they definitely built from the net out, which is smart on Ron Francis's behalf. And you're looking, the Flyers sort of took that path this year too. When you're looking at the offseason additions, what did they add? The majority of is on the back end, right? Ryan Ellis, Keith Yandel today signing a 1-year, $900,000 deal. And they added Ristolainen. So 3 out of the 4 additions, to not include Cam Atkinson in there, were what? Defense, right? So the Flyers were building from the net out. And look, tomorrow they're in the market for a 1B. And Jonathan Bernier is calling. But, I just go looking for a 1B. So they built from the net out this year. And that's something that just Seattle Kraken did well. I just think that the Kraken, they need to get better offensively. They need that, Vegas went out after James Neal, and got lucky with Alex Tuck from Fletcher. And they got lucky that way. So let's see.
Yeah, and then my last question is, what are the most intriguing matchups for the first month of the season, in your opinion?
My favorite is always the home opener or opener. So I think it's against the Vancouver Canucks. I will pencil that in. And there's a pending trade call at this moment with the former Vancouver Canuck now, Nate Schmidt. So a right-handed defenseman, and Nate Schmidt is about to be traded to the Winnipeg Jets. So that was called earlier by us to include Alex because he's part of the Flyers Knitty Gritty team. So it's kind of neat that we called that he would be dealt today. But my other matchup that I'm looking forward to is the Kraken. So I think I'm going to skip the home opener this year. I'd rather go to the Kraken game because I want to see them. I think it's kind of neat. That's my favorite game of those two are my favorites because the home opener it feels like Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Like you've been waiting. It feels like Christmas morning when you wake up and you come home and you're excited and you're just tweeting, having a good time. You guys, with being over there, you guys are going to have some fun. With your friends and everything, and stuff. So, but it's exciting.
I'm definitely looking forward to the rematch against Boston. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing if they can put a stamp on them and actually beat them.
Yeah, that would be nice, right? Hey,
yeah.
Cam.
Yeah.
I love your room.
Oh, thank you.
It's awesome, man. I love the color and everything. It's great. Did Alex help you with that?
No, actually, this is before and I even met. We painted this room. Actually, this was my sister's color. I'm kind of like in her. This is like her old bedroom that I'm in now, kind of like an office. So she picked the color of the room.
Gotcha. I think it's neat. It's unique. You don't see that color anymore, man. I like it. So, hey, but look, guys. Look for Jonathan Bernier tomorrow. The Flyers' top target is Jonathan Bernier. Their second target is James Reimer. And I would have to say that Fletcher was very interested in Linus Ullmark. But I think Ullmark wants. I'm hearing this is from Chris Meyer, who writes for us as well. He heard that he was looking in upwards of $6 million per season, 6x6 or something like that, and that's too rich for the Flyers. We don't need that. That's starter money. We got Carter Hart here. He's going to carry the reins and show us a box, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting season once it gets on the way. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see what the Flyers can do. And thank you so much for coming on, Jamey.
Oh yeah, thanks a lot for having me on. It was great. Your viewership. You guys are getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And it's great. That you guys are building this type of viewership. So no, it's an honor to come on. One thing I will say is look for Carter Hart to rebound. I'm telling you, he's going to have a phenomenal year this year. Carter Hart is going to be, I'd say, he finishes 6th or 7th in the Vizina this year for Vizina trophy voting. That's how good he's going to be. I think he's going to be lights out. I think last season, it just got to be too much. But I think he's going to be very, very good this year.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope so.
Yep. You watch. He's going to be most improved.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
See ya.